crafters! Welcome back to my channel Because I'm Crafty. My name is Katelyn and today I'm going to show you guys how I sewed some of this lace top. So in a few videos back, probably closer to the beginning of the year, I filmed a Fabricland fabric haul, and this is one of the fabrics that I purchased. I believe it was regular $18 a meter or something like that, and it was on for $9 a meter. So I picked up 1.5 meters with the thought of making a nice top like this, maybe even a skirt, something like that. I just fell in love with not only the color and the style of the lace, but the beautiful scalloped edge was so nice. And after I filmed that video, there was also like a whole other pile of laces that I bought at the same time, and someone commented asking that once I got around to sewing some of these, if I could show some tips and tricks with working with lace, then that would be really helpful. So I filmed a little bit while making this full top. I didn't film the entire thing, but I just wanted to show you guys some things that you can do when sewing with lace, because sometimes just sewing with a straight stitch and possibly serging the edges doesn't always work out that well, especially if there's a lot of like open areas like this one. So let's get into it. Before I show you some of the clips, I just wanted to tell you some of the things that I did do while sewing this, and that was to sew with some French seams. Now this shirt did go a lot quicker because I didn't have to worry about the bottom hem, and I didn't have to worry about the sleeve hem because I used the scallop edge as my hem, so I didn't have to worry about that part. So the only other part that I didn't use French seams is of course your arm's eye, because it's really difficult to do this curve and cap with a French seam. So I just did a French seam down my sleeve and down the side seams, since that will have most of the kind of stress of the garment. And this I just sewed together and serged. So that made it pretty easy to finish this off. I did leave a bit of a wider seam allowance, about 1/2 inch to 5/8 for my sleeve, just in case if it was to rip apart at some point or something like that, then I did have a little bit of extra kind of wiggle room to work with. The other thing that you can do when sewing lace is use binding to finish off your inner edges. So especially if you don't have a serger, you can use some binding to sew over top of your edge. So if you sew it first and then use the binding to kind of sandwich your seam together, then sew that on, and then you have a nice finished edge. So with a lot of laces or kind of specialty dresses or garments, a lot of time they use a nice satin binding on the inside, something a little fancy, but you certainly don't have to do that every time. A French seam will work fine. As you'll see in this video, I did opt for a wider French seam. Again, that's just my personal preference. In case it did rip or something, then I just have a little bit of fabric there to work with. But with a normal French seam, you would work with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. First you will sew your wrong sides together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Trim that seam allowance in half once it's sewn, so you'll have 1/8. Then you go over to your iron and help yourself kind of refold it out so that your right sides are out, and then you can sew over that fold again with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so you miss that 1/8 and you have that little extra space to encase it so that nothing is sticking out on the outside. So like you'll see in the video, I did opt for a bigger one. It doesn't really matter, it's personal preference. It just kind of depends on how you would like to see it. You can't really tell with this one because a lot of my pattern does run up the side, so you can't really tell that there is a bit wider of a French seam. But other than that, it does make it pretty strong with lace, especially if you have a more open lace. Like I was saying, this area here is very open, it's very netted. So those areas you definitely want to be a bit more careful with. But depending on your lace, normally you can just straight stitch it and serge it. It totally depends on what you have, but you can take some of these tips and tricks if you like, or you think that it would apply to your lace, and hopefully it'll work well for you. So let's get into the video of me making this top. And to finish off this top, I just took some jersey that I bought at Fabricland as well, I believe, and it was a very similar color, so I just used like a band and then top stitched it down, just kind of like any normal stretch top. Again, you could use some pretty satin binding on the top or just normal binding depending on what you have, but since this lace has a lot of open areas, it has a little bit of give. It's not necessarily stretchy, but just those open areas do give it like a little bit of extra space to move. So I thought that having the little bit of a stretchy band would help with that. If I put a satin binding on or a woven binding, it would be a little bit more restrictive to get on and off. So this does just give it a little bit of extra give. And I did opt for the higher neck. I thought that since it is kind of generally revealing, even though I will always have some sort of cami or something underneath, as you can see I've got this nude one on, but I thought the higher neck would kind of off balance the kind of see-throughness of it, and then I did opt for a slightly longer sleeve. And to cut this shirt out, I actually kind of mixed two patterns together. So for the kind of front and back, I used the button back blouse that I'd made before and just kind of layered the pieces together and removed the darts to cut the front and back. And then for the sleeve, I used the sleeve from this frill sleeve dress, and then I just made it a little bit shorter because of the scallop. So I just kind of mismatched two patterns together. It worked out really well. There's no darts or anything. It's nice and loose. It's not baggy or anything, but it, you know, does allow for something tight underneath. So you have that little extra space going on. And I just think it turned out really well. I'm really happy with it. This is exactly the kind of top that I had in mind. And I do thankfully have enough that I think I can make a really pretty skirt to go with it as well if I choose to wear it that way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well as my tips. Hopefully they will help you in the future if you choose to sew with lace. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any future videos. And make sure to join me over on Instagram and Facebook at Because I'm Crafty. I hope you guys have a fabulous week and I'll see you next time, crafters. Bye!